Could you believe this? The Braves were going into postseason play against the National League East champion Pittsburgh Pirates. The miracle had happened. The Pirates wore their own crown proudly, having won more games than any team in baseball in '91. And even though the Bucks lost 9 of 12 to Atlanta in regular season play, they delivered a convincing win in Game 1.
This team has stayed on such an even keel all year long. We're going to forget about this game tomorrow, come in here, joke around, have our usual fun in the clubhouse, and then get down to business and go out and win a game tomorrow.
But in the second game at Three Rivers, the Braves turned their fate over to the 21-year-old Steve Avery. And with ice water pumping through his young veins, he blazed his way through the powerful Pirates lineup, getting all the offense he would need. Mark Lemke with the bouncer to third that takes a strange hop past Steve Buechele. David Justice roaring home with the game's only run.
And Atlanta's going to take the lead.
Alejandro Pena came on for Avery in the ninth, the tying run on second. Wild pitched a runner to third before retiring the final 2 men for the save. And the Braves had their first franchise playoff victory, 1-0, tying the series at 1. The series moved south, and Game 3 in Atlanta more resembled a Georgia Mardi Gras. Braves fans, tomahawks in hand, chopping arms limbered up, were ready to party.
I just got back from Pittsburgh, and I told everybody when they get down to Atlanta, we are going to get our revenge, and the World Series start next week, baby. Whoa!
And they didn't have to wait long. After John Smoltz gave up a first-pitch home run to Orlando Merced, his teammates answered with 4 runs in the bottom of that first inning. Greg Olson's 2-run homer put the exclamation point on that, and the Braves were on their way to a rout. A flu-riddled Smoltz and his Braves chopped their way to a 2-1 lead in the series. Could the rest be this easy?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know how to explain it, but like I said, we just swung the bats well today, and it didn't matter if there was 2 outs or 1 out, no outs. We were ready to play. We were ready to swing the bats, and by doing that, I think that we're going to do that through the rest of the series.
It wouldn't be easy. After a 2-run first inning in Game 4, the Braves wouldn't score again and lost 3-2 in 10.
No, I knew the Pirates wouldn't roll over. Maybe some guys are talking about sweeping them here in Atlanta after last night's win, but they're too good a ball club.
So the faithful gathered for Game 5 with the series tied 2-2, but the Braves' bats were again quiet, and they stumbled to a 1-0 loss.
Well, it appeared awkward. I know to the human eye and how awkward it was. You could definitely say, oh, well, maybe he missed it, but I know I touched it, and I know the replay still touched it.
Bottom line is winning, however you have to do it. I guess it wasn't typical Pirate baseball, but bottom line is they got 2 out of 3, and that's what they really needed to do. So, the advantage goes back to them, and, we'll just see how we respond to it.
Temperatures in the 40s greeted the Braves and Pirates for Game 6 back at Three Rivers, but there was no way the Pirates could cool off Steve Avery again. The kid struck out the side in the first and never looked back, mesmerizing Pittsburgh batters. But all the while, the Atlanta offensive drought had reached record proportions, 26 straight scoreless innings, and so nerves jangled as they went to the 9th inning. Ronnie Gant walked and promptly stole his 6th base of the series, a new National League Championship Series record. Greg Olson's double down the left field line drove Gant home easily, and the Braves finally got on the board. But the drama would only build higher. Avery was relieved, and on came Pena. The Pirates got a man to second, and Pena wild pitched him to third. But after Andy Van Slyke fouled off fastball after fastball, Pena threw him a changeup, and the game was over. The third 1-0 game of the series, and it would go to a 7th. For all of the tension in Games 4, 5, and 6, Game 7 was over nearly as soon as it began. Fortunately for those who had no nails left to bite. The Braves struck for 3 runs in the first inning off the Pirates' 20-game winner, John Smiley. The big blow, a 2-run homer from the rookie, Brian Hunter. And John Smoltz rode that lead to an easy victory, going the distance for his 2nd win of the series, again shutting down the frustrated Pittsburgh power unit. And when that final grounder was scooped up by Hunter, and the end at last had come, the Atlanta Braves were champions of the National League. the first team in National League playoff history to come from 3-2 down to win the final 2 games on the road. The first major championship of any kind in Atlanta's pro sports history. Headed for the World Series against the Minnesota Twins. The first 2 teams in modern history to go from last to first. They would have to open their first ever World Series in the place opponents not so lovingly call the Thunderdome, the Minnesota Metrodome. For most of the Braves, their first visit was a bit larger than life. For others, a chance to greet old friends and contemplate the problems this arena can present.
Seeing the ball, lights are low, the ball gets up in the air, it's tough to see it off of the ceiling up here, so that's going to be our toughest problem. And the noise, when the ball gets up, outfielders are going to have a hard time hearing each other, so that's going to be the toughest thing, I think.
Despite Ronnie Gant's 3 hits, the Braves lost the opener. No concern yet. After all, remember Pittsburgh?
Yeah, if we can, take a split out of here, that'd be good. And I think that was probably, the realistic goal coming in here. I mean, you always like to sweep coming in here or something like that, but realistically, you would like to get a sweep. So we're still in position to do that. So there's no need to panic.
Game 2 turned more on what Braves saw as a wrestling move than a good baseball play. Gant had singled the runner to third, and after rounding first, went back to beat the throw, only to have first baseman Ken Hrbek lift Gant's leg off the bag and get the out. Hrbek on that very play establishing himself as a Minnesota villain for the rest of the series. And when Scott Leas homered to win Game 2, the Braves suddenly found themselves down 2 games to none.
It's gone!
Dejected for the first time in postseason play, but eager to get back home for the next 3 games with playoff MVP Steve Avery ready to go.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough grind, but we've done it all season long, and we're used to this stuff. We're used to coming from behind. We're used to coming back, being down in the series, and hopefully this will be no different for the ball club. We'll bounce right back.
The way the Atlanta fans welcome their heroes home, you'd have figured the Braves had won the first 2. It didn't seem to matter. Atlanta was chanting and chopping toward the first World Series game in the city's history. And boy, were the fans ready. And when David Justice homered in Game 3 to give the Braves their first lead in the series, the crowd had something to cheer about. And the Twins had something to sweat about. The Twins threw 20-game winner Scott Erickson in Game 3, but it didn't faze Lonnie Smith, whose home run gave the Braves a 2-run lead.
Another run for Atlanta.
Alejandro Pena, so solid since coming to the Braves from the Mets late in the season, came on and gave up the home run to Chili Davis that tied this one.
Into left field, Mitchell back. How far is this going? We are tied.
But Mike Stanton replaced Pena, put out that fire, and then came the Atlanta heroics. Suddenly, the little second baseman Mark Lemke took center stage.
Hitting room up the middle for Lemke. Lemke hits it into left field. Here comes
And the Braves had won their first World Series game since 1958.
Save! And Atlanta wins it!
Justice, indeed.
It's telling Dave to run. Geez, he had a fridge on his back out there, I think. No, it just seemed like everything moved in slow motion.
Like I said, I was just trying to go up there and make contact and put the ball in play somewhere and force them to make a play. And maybe they wouldn't come up with one, or maybe I could just get one to get through or something. And fortunately for me, one dropped in for me, and I was just happy with it.
Game 4, and it's Lemke again to rescue the Braves. His triple in the ninth puts the managerial mind of Bobby Cox to work. Time for a pinch hitter. How about the veteran journeyman Jerry Willard?
That's going to be a winner for Atlanta. The runner tags at third. Here's the throw from Matt. Here's Lemke. He is out.
Braves even the series at 2-2.
Are you thinking base hit, or are you thinking simply put the ball
I'm
in
hitting the ball hard. Hitting the ball hard. That's if you hit the ball hard, you can't guide a ball. You just hit it hard and hope it gets to where you want it to be.
As I said earlier, and as I've been saying all year, we've been battling all year long and coming